Okay, here's the Colorado Rockies roster. I've already got narrowed down to the 26-man roster. Nathan, if you want to call somebody up, send somebody down, of course, let me know. But here's how I have it set up going into the regular season. Your starting pitching is a little bit weak. You got Marquez as your ace, Austin Gomber, Antonio Senzatella, Kyle Freeland, Chad Kuhl. You don't really have any notable pitching prospects other than Ryan Rollison. He's already 24 years old, so he's probably going to be a bottom of the rotation guy, not a top of the rotation guy. Your bullpen is not good. It's really not good. You've got some decent long relievers, like Fernandez is a long reliever, Sheffield's a long reliever, and they're not terrible, but you don't really have any high end relievers. That goes the same with closer. You've got Alex Colomé, who's fine, but he's not an elite closer. He's probably better suited just as a regular reliever. At catcher, you're good. You've got Elias Diaz. He's basically an everyday guy. Uh, Dom Nunez is an okay backup. Doesn't hit for much average, but he's got good power, plays decent defense. Butero's your third catcher. He's in the last year of his career, more than likely. But you do have a prospect, Drew Romo, who's 20. He probably take a couple of years before he's major league ready, but you got him down there. CJ Crone is a good first baseman, mashes lefties. He's okay against righties. You got Michael Toglia, who's a good first base prospect. He's a switch hitter. Can also play a little bit of outfield. You've got, I don't know how to say that name, L.A. Juris Montero, and he's not much of a prospect at all, but he's down there. Second base, Brendan Rodgers, again, better against lefties than he is righties, but he's a potential. He's going to be your starting second baseman. Tim Lopez is basically a utility guy. He can play everywhere. Doesn't hit a lot, but plays solid defense. Ryan McMahon at third, very, very good defender. Hits enough to be an everyday player. You've got prospect Colton Welker, again, 24 years old. He might be more of a backup than a starter in his career. Maybe someday he'll reach a starter. Your starting shortstop is Garrett Hampson. He plays good defense. He's super fast, doesn't hit a ton, and it's a similar story with Jose Iglesias. He mashes lefties. He's going to be in there against lefties. Doesn't hit a ton against righties. He's only average defensively. You've got Kyle Holder and Alan Trejo down there for depth. Neither of them really should factor in. Left field, you got Chris Bryant. Came over from the Cubs. You know he can hit, especially against lefties. Again, this is the story of your team. You're going to mash lefties, but you might struggle a little bit against righties. You've also got Connor Joe, who's just a solid overall player. He could probably be a starting outfielder on most teams. You've got Scott Schebler. He's got some pop against righties. Ryan Vlade, who's a mediocre prospect. He could probably fill a backup role for you, if not this year, next year. In center field, you got Jonathan Daza, really high contact player, plays good defense, not going to hit for much power. Grichuk is the opposite. He's not going to hit for a ton of average, but he's got great power. He's mediocre defensively in center field. He's probably better suited for a corner outfield position. And then you got Sam Hilliard, who is all power, no average. He's a lefty. He plays mediocre defense, but he's got good speed. And you've got a prospect down here, Benny Montgomery, who's going to be probably a glove first center fielder, but he's got some pop. He should develop into a pretty good player. And in right field, you've got 35-year-old Charlie Blackmon, probably in the twilight of his career, but still can hit, still can play the field. He might be a trade option for you if you fall out of it. And you have the best prospect in your system, Zach Veen, 20-year-old right fielder, 66 overall A potential, bats lefty, 6'4", 190. He already hits righties pretty well. He's coming along against lefties. He's got to develop a bit defensively unless you want to play him in left field. And that pretty much does it. You got Brent Doyle down here too, but he's kind of a non-factor. He might be a bench bat at some point. And we'll go ahead and look at your pitching rotation. There it is: Marquez, Gomber, Senzatella, Freeland, and Cool. I've got Sheffield, Fernandez, and Chastain in your long relief spots. Estevez and Bard in middle relief. Stevenson in setup role, and Colomé as your closer. For your lineups, first right-handed pitching, I've got Blackmon leading off, playing right, Bryant DHing, hitting second, CJ Cron playing first, hitting third, Randall Grichuk playing left and hitting fourth, Ryan McMahon playing third, hitting fifth, Brandon Rogers hitting sixth, playing second, Elias Diaz catching, hitting seventh, Jonathan Daza playing center field, hitting eighth, and shortstop Hampson hitting ninth. I think there's a possibility that your best bet at leadoff at some point might turn out to be Jonathan Daza, but I would make him prove it first, because he's going to basically have to hit 300 to be a solid leadoff guy, and he can do it. I want to see it before he takes a spot over like Charlie Blackmon. You'll have to let me know what you think about that. Against lefties, it's almost identical lineup. Charlie Blackmon in right, Chris Bryant DHing, Cron at first, Grichuk in left, McMahon at third, Rogers at second, Diaz catching, Jonathan Daza in center, and this time it's Jose Iglesias at short because he mashes lefties, and Garrett Hampson goes to the bench. Hampson hits lefties too, but not as well as Iglesias. And that pretty much does it for the Rockies roster. There are contract extensions, but that comes up again later in the season. We'll revisit that then. If you want to look at free agents, there's a. I'm going to basically go ahead and say that no, you can't sign guys that aren't real. So there's Kwang Hyun Kim, who I believe is back in Korea pitching now, but he's still in the game. Is a solid starter. Johnny Cueto at 36 is a free agent. Fultonavich, Brett Anderson, Cole Hamels, Jay Happ. There's a couple relievers: Rosenthal, Petit, Hoyt, Richard Rodriguez, John Curtis, Pedro Strop, Clippard, Watson. I mean, there's some pretty good depth at reliever out in free agency, and I know that's a position that you do need. There's an old catcher, Ryan Zimmerman, Hernan Perez, Eric Sogard, Joe Panic, Todd Frazier, Asdrubal Cabrera, Kung Fu Panda. There's Jody Mercer, shortstop, Pete Cosma, if you're really into that. Left field, Justin Upton, Matt Joyce, Chris Davis. Center field, you got Brett Gardner, Juan Lagares, Danny Santana. In right field, there's Adam Eaton, Jorge Bonifacio, Josh Reddick, Jared Dyson. Dyson can't run like he used to, unfortunately. And that pretty much does it for the Rockies roster sum up. Again, Nathan, if you want to make any moves before the season, let me know. All right.